Welcome back to episode 3 of the StodCast. For this episode, we really thought we wanted to dive into the activities, a little bit extracurricular. Some of them are during the day, but most of them are extracurricular that our kids get the opportunity to participate in here with Berkshire. So we're going to talk about the athletics that are offered here, as well as the band and choir options. And we'll be talking to Mr. Hiscox, our athletic director, as well as Mr. Eppler, our choir director, and Mr. Hadsell, our band director. All right, welcome back for episode 3 of the StodCast. Can't wait to get started. We are in our second week of school right now, so you might see some commotion behind us or around us, so we'll get through that the best we can. This episode, we're going to talk about some of the different activities we have at the school. So we'll talk a little bit about athletics, and then we'll get into some band and choir. But first, I have with us our athletic director, Mr. Brian Hiscox. Mr. Hiscox.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Can you start off by just giving the crowd a little bit of who is Brian Hiscox? Like a little bit about how you grew up and how you got to this point?
Yeah. So, like you said, my name is Brian Hiscox. I'm a 2006 graduate of Berkshire. After I graduated from Berkshire, I was a 3-sport athlete here. Played football, basketball, and baseball. Went on to Otterbein College and played baseball for 4 years there. Knew I wanted to work in sports, but didn't know exactly the route I wanted to take. So I got into coaching, which I feel like a lot of people do. Coached a year at Ohio Wesleyan University, baseball. Moved on to Butler University in Indianapolis for 2 years. And then this position came open, the athletic director position came open, and applied and got it. And I've been here ever since.
Did you ever have any aspirations of playing sports beyond college? Did you have any pro aspirations?
Yes and no. I think if the right opportunity would have presented itself, that would have been a good avenue to take. But, I'm really happy with the choices I made in getting into coaching. And I got to do a lot of cool things, right out of college through that avenue. And it led me here, and I'm still working in sports. So, I consider myself pretty blessed.
And you were quite the athlete while you were here at Berkshire High School. You were at least one sport all-state, correct? Or maybe multiple sports?
Yeah, I was all-state in baseball and basketball and all region in football. Baseball was my best sport. The one I was, I have a couple school records in, and it paved the way for me to go and play collegiately and start my athletic career. So yeah, baseball has been near and dear to my heart.
That's outstanding. So what kind of inspired you to move into athletic administration? I know the job, you said the job came up, but did you have a calling? Did you ever think about that before this job came up?
Originally I wanted to coach baseball at the college level. And I always thought, when I was in school, the head coaches were like associate ADs. I went to Otterbein, and that was a way for those coaches to not only coach, but, be an administrator within the department. And I thought this is something that I could see myself doing. So that kind of, laid that groundwork. And, I guess I'm still doing the same thing. It's a little bit different being at a high school level than at a collegiate level, but, still making those decisions and impacts on student athletes every day.
Do you have any aspirations to eventually become a college athletic director or move in that direction?
I won't say no. I think anybody who, was an athlete or had some kind of competitive edge to him always wants to try and accomplish a bigger goal and do something like that. Right now, that's really not something I'm interested in, but I won't say never.
Okay. So did you have a teacher or a coach or a mentor in your time that kind of shaped the way you lead today?
Yeah, I had a lot of great coaches when I came through Berkshire here. Guys who stand out are Pat Moran and Mark Smithberger. My dad, who was a coach here, played a very influential role on me in athletics. And then once I got to college, my baseball coach George Powell. I still think about things and how he ran programs, and just the impact that he had on me individually. Taking what those 4 men taught me and trying to meld them into one thing is kind of how I would describe how I lead.
Oh, awesome. Can you give us a little quick background on the extent of Berkshire athletics? We have varsity sports. Talk a little bit about what we offer at the junior high level, and then how many varsity sports we have here.
Yeah, we for a small school, I feel like we offer a lot. And we're always trying to push the envelope in terms of programming. With if we have kids interested in something, we're going to at least explore it. So we've developed at the JV and middle school level, obviously sub varsity sports for everything that we offer. We've added middle school soccer, both boys and girls. It started as co-ed. We've branched off into both boys and girls. Last couple of years, we've been able to have multiple middle school football teams. We have middle school cross country for boys and girls, middle school basketball, boys and girls, 7th and 8th grade. I think a lot of that has to do with not only kids being around the school, but also our rec programming that we offer. We have a lot of feeder systems in place, which help us with our numbers coming up. And then even at the high school level, we've added within the last decade bowling. We've added flag football, girls flag football, which is one of the fastest growing sports in the country right now. We've added boys volleyball, which they had their best season this past year, going to a regional final, and I think they've only been in existence for about 5 years. So, we're trying to, like I said, do the best that we can for our students and provide opportunities for them, whatever sport it may be.
That's great. What's your vision for athletics at Berkshire, and what role do you think sports play in a child's overall education?
I want the athletic programs here to be things that people are proud of. Look to them with a feeling of pride. I've always viewed athletics as right next to academics in terms of what is viewed as a healthy school. A lot of these schools that you see showing up on state report cards at a high level, or different lists of the best schools in the state and the country, they're all high performing athletic schools as well. So I think they go hand in hand. And I want, like I said, athletics to be a point of pride for our community.
Yeah, I know that when I was in high school, I always budgeted my time better when I was in season playing a sport, because I knew I was going to be held accountable by the coaches and the teachers, and so you just had to use your time more wisely.
Mm-hmm.
So, fun fact, I'm sure you know this, maybe members of our viewing and listening audience don't. Berkshire is the only high school in the state of Ohio that uses the badger as a mascot.
Mm-hmm.
You knew that already?
I knew that, yep.
Now, I can tell you this from a parent perspective, because I did have my own 2 children who went through and played sports here, Berkshire grads, 22 and 24. When we play against Badger local schools, it gets a little confusing. Now, Badger local schools, you would think Badger would be the Badgers, right? Like you would think Cardinal would be the Cardinals. Why aren't they they're the Huskies? I don't know why. You'd think Badger could be the Badgers, but Badger are the Braves. And when we go to away games at Badger, the signs will say Berkshire parents this side, Badger parents this side. And we're like, wait a minute. We're Badger parents and Berkshire parents. What do we do? Where do we go? So just a little interesting fun fact. No other high school uses the badger as a mascot.
And honestly, if you we're kind of connected in some way. If you go uptown into the park, there is a placard in the park that has something to do with Joseph Badger and establishing the church here in town. So there's the connection between the Berkshire Badgers and Joseph Badger Braves. So I don't know if the name came from that necessarily. I know there was a vote whenever the schools consolidated the first time to go from the Maple Leafs to the new mascot name. So like I said, I don't know if that's tied to it in any way, but I'm sure it has something to do with it.
Makes some sense. We had some speculation on whether the band uniforms drove the fact that it had to start with a B. So could be. Maybe it's Joseph Badger. How do you balance the competitive side of athletics with the developmental side and character building side of athletics?
It's tough, especially at those younger levels. Obviously we want to go out and compete at a high level in everything that we do. We understand that there's got to be a winner in every game and a loser in every game, and we hope we come out on the winning side more often. But I think from an athletics standpoint, really what we're trying to do is teach like life lessons that you can learn through sport. The value of hard work, the value of being a good teammate, overcoming adversity, those different types of things, I think are a very good component of high school athletics, and can teach kids to have those life skills as they move on through high school athletics into their lives after graduation.
Yeah, if they learn how to be good teammates, they're going to have to be teammates somewhere along the line.
Exactly.
They're going to have to listen to instruction, be coachable,
Mhm.
get better at what they do, whether it's their job or their sport or, life in general. So awesome. We had an awesome counter last time. That was my first awesome, I know, because in the back of my head, because we did the awesome counter, I've been purposefully not
We'll have
trying to
put a
say
graphic.
awesome.
Yeah, we'll put a graphic on the
I
thing.
need to expand my vocabulary. Tell me how how do you define success for our athletic programs beyond wins and losses? Because sometimes teams struggle and sometimes other teams are better. How do you define success outside of wins and losses?
I think it goes a lot back to kind of what we were just talking about with the skills that athletes learn. But even on top of that, something I that really struck home with me that I heard a couple years ago was, people will forget the wins and losses. They won't forget how you treated them. So I think that really hits home with, we want kids who, after their time at Berkshire, want to come back and be an alumni supporter of their program, or want to come back and, just help out in different ways that they can, whether it be through athletic boosters or band boosters or PTO or things like that. We want to try to provide them with a good experience. Yeah. So as long as we can do that, I think we're accomplishing a goal that isn't exactly wins and losses related, but something that's still going to have a major impact on our programming.
People will never forget the way you made them feel, and that's important. So if you had a magic wand and unlimited resources, what opportunities or facilities would you add to enhance our student athletes' experience?
You ever seen those high school football fields down in Texas?
I have.
No, I'm joking. Those are
Arkansas?
Those are amazing. I think we've done a really good job, especially as we moved into this new building. Like, I still get like goosebumps on Friday nights when we're having games out there, or when we walk into the gym and the flag is dropped for a basketball or a volleyball game. I think it's still really, really cool. I think the more that we could do multi-purpose wise, outside and inside, would only benefit not only our athletes but our students in general. Adding more turf facilities for youth programming, rec programming, middle school sports, adding more gyms for volleyball and basketball development, gym classes. Again, all these things cost money, but you told me I had a magic wand.
Magic wand.
So anything we could do where we could grow our programming opportunities while still being I guess still having that small school feel would be something I would try to do.
Awesome. Now, when you think about athletics, you think about traditions. So are there certain traditions here that you feel are really strong and you want to keep them moving, or are there other traditions that you wanted to start up moving into a new campus?
I think we're at a point, it's a weird kind of transitional point for us. I look at our traditional rivalries that we've had over the years, from even before when I was a student. You had Newberry High School, you had, Ledgemont. Obviously, those schools are no longer around. Ledgemont's part of us. Newberry's now part of West Geauga, but you lose those county rivalries with those other small schools. And then you have, Grand Valley, who leaves our conference, Cardinal, who has now left our conference. Like, a lot of our natural rivalries, just based off of location, have kind of gone away. So I think we're in a position right now where, looking at different conference opponents and who we stack up against in most of our sports and trying to establish, like, who is that new rivalry for us. I think Kirtland steps out. We're always seeming to be battling with them for some kind of conference championship along the way. So, like, just transitioning that kind of mindset into, yes, these are still our rivals because they're neighborhood people, but these are going to be our new rivals within the conference because that is who we're going to be doing battle with most of the time. Yeah. So that's just the kind of change I see.
It makes sense. What would you say is the most rewarding part of being an athletic director?
There's a lot of things, obviously, just like a lot of other people who work in this building, you want to see student growth and student success. But it's the opportunities that these kids have to make plays or do a great thing, not only for their team, but for their teammates, for their community. I see kids having opportunities that maybe a couple of years ago they wouldn't necessarily have had. So, I think that's a rewarding thing when you see a student who has something that happens to them that that is going to be something that they talk about for the rest of their lives. I think that's amazing.
Awesome. That was 2. What are some challenges that you face in this role as athletic director, and how do you overcome those challenges?
So challenges that we face on the daily in athletics is a lot different than a lot of other educators. Ours is a lot of things that go around our event, whether that be a busing situation, a referee situation, a game worker situation, and you're basically trying to fill in and do all these different roles. So far this year, I've sold concessions, I've done a scoreboard, I've taken tickets, all these things that you hope you have people there to help out with so you can administer the game. And then when those people aren't there because something pops up, you realize how important that role is when you shift into it. So, we're working on that all the time, trying to make sure we have the best people in here that we can to help with our events, to make sure they run smoothly.
So where do you see our athletic programs 5 years from now?
I think we're on a good upward trend with a lot of the things that we're doing. Our numbers continue to improve. Again, we have more and more students coming out for different sports that they maybe never tried before or something that they're interested in starting. And again, we're going to continue to push the envelope in terms of what we can offer our students at a small school level that's not going to take away from things that we've already established. So I want to continue to be on the forefront of that for small schools in the area and in the state. And like I said, I think we're on a good trajectory to do that.
Yeah. How do you see athletics contributing to the overall spirit and culture of the school and the community?
Yeah, just circling back, I think, if you have a good team or a good program, people want to be a part of that and take pride in that. And I think you've seen that with our, a couple programs that we've had over the last couple of years make their, runs deep into the OHSA tournament. Our girls soccer team, a prime example, people who have never been to a soccer game before are now coming to the soccer games and watching our girls go out there and compete. And, that's something cool to see, the evolution of that program. And I think we have the ability to do that with other things as well going forward. And again, continue to have that pride in our programming.
Yeah. I mean, Shane Gillis said it. Nothing galvanizes a community faster than Friday night lights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the football team's 4-0.
Yeah, football team's
Everything's
4-0.
great.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, number 3. If you could give one piece of advice to every student athlete, what would you tell them?
Don't be satisfied. Again, I think as athletes and competitors, we're always looking to accomplish a goal or set something as a goal for us to try and reach. Going back to a guy who had a big impact on me, George Powell, one of his things that really stuck out with me was like, good enough is not good enough. So if you think you're good enough, okay, now let's push it to the next level. Let's get to a level where, now we're starting to become elite, or now we're starting to become a competitor at an all-state level. Like, always be looking for your next challenge for yourself.
Great advice. So in closing, if you could just give us one sports moment here at Berkshire that you'll never forget. Could be from your time as an athlete and a player, or it could be from your time as an administrator. What's a sports moment you'll never forget?
There's a lot actually that kind of stick out when you think about overtime. We've had a couple state champions in individual sports that have been here since I've been here. Your son being one of them, Kyle Storm in track being the other. We've had a couple teams make history in terms of how far they've gone in a state tournament or doing something for the first time, and all those things stick out. So I really don't know what I can put one in front of the other. Something that will always stick out to me though was Luke Freiling in basketball. I think it was like my 3rd year here as an administrator. I was also an assistant basketball coach, and Luke was one of our special education students. Was a basketball manager for his entire high school career, and we were able to, get him into a basketball uniform on senior night, and lo and behold, he hits a 3-pointer in the game, and the crowd, both home and away, just absolutely erupted. Luke's family was obviously thrilled with everything that happened, and to this day, every time I see Luke, he reminds me of the 3-pointer he hit in that basketball game. So
nice.
That's something that I'll take with me, wherever I go.
Yeah, you mentioned mine. I have 2 with my own personal kids. My daughter Haley had a triple-double in a basketball game against Cardinal, and you don't see triple-doubles.
No, it was like the
often.
quietest triple-double ever. It's like after the game, it's like, oh, points, rebounds, and blocks, or was it steal? Yeah. So it's like, Whoa.
You got a triple double. And then, yeah, you mentioned it. Lucas, my son, state champion wrestler. What other people might not realize is he was also a lead role in one of the musicals at Berkshire when he played the Lion in The Wizard of Oz. So lots of great memories. So, and all around great activities for our athletes and for everyone involved. Mr. Hiscox, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for stopping by the StodCast. All of our listeners, remember to like and subscribe so these videos pop up and you don't have to look for them in the future. But great seeing you. We hope the listeners enjoyed all of the stories as well.
I appreciate you having me again. Thank you very much.
All right, welcome back again to episode 3 of the podcast, the StodCast, which is a podcast called the StodCast. Got it?
I love it.
So make sure you like and subscribe so you can get updates without looking for them. But we are in our activities episode for episode 3. And with me now is our choir director, Mr. Sean Eppler. Hello, Mr. Eppler.
Hello.
Can you start off by just giving us a brief history with your background? Tell us who Mr. Eppler is and how you got to this point.
Yeah, of course. So I grew up in music first and foremost. My parents are both musicians. My mom was a music teacher. My dad sings in choir, was in band after high school, but he eventually caught the bug. And I grew up in Mentor, Ohio, went to Mentor High School, did my undergrad at Mount Union, where I got a Bachelor in Music Education, and I love that school. Went to work at Waynedale High School in Wayne County, Ohio, close to Worcester. And while working there, got my master's degree in music education from the University of Cincinnati in a summer program that was really, really good stuff. And yeah, and then when I found out about this job from my friend Lauren Casey, who's the elementary music teacher here, we realized it would be nice to move closer to my parents, to be in this area where I grew up, and saw the opportunities here with a new building coming and thought this would be a great move. So I'm very happy we did.
Incredible. I was going to say awesome, but I was also told, in my head I had an awesome counter going, but I was told by the crew here that I really fell short of the number of awesomes I thought I've said already. And I know you're going to tell me I've said at least 3 or 4.
Three
since
awesomes
since
right
I
there.
started talking here, but apparently we still need the awesome counter, and I
Good
guess we're going to have that on this episode
I'll stop.
again.
I
too.
won't be the counter.
Tell us what first inspired you to pursue music education and then become a music teacher.
Yeah, one of my best friends growing up in middle school was Ted Babcock. We're still friends to this day. Ted, we were at a band camp together in Worcester, and we're in the dorm room overnight. And he said, if we become band directors, we get to do band just all day, every day. Now, it's not exactly like that. But at the time, I thought, oh, that's really awesome. Yeah, that's a good idea. I want to do that. And I got hooked. The moment he said that, it's what I wanted to do ever since. That was in 7th grade. A week later, Ted had already moved on to other things, but it stuck with me. And now, ironically enough, Ted's related to the Babcock on this, that our stage is named after. So it's kind of a cool full circle moment there.
Between that and all the other things that when we talked to Mr. Hiscox, we learned through athletics, this is really like a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon type situation here. So tell me, was there a teacher or a moment in your musical journey that shaped the way you do things today?
And every teacher I had a lot to do with who I am. But the big ones, my mom was a music educator, and she really taught me how to be compassionate towards everyone, but also stand up for myself if I need to advocate for what I do and who I am, and to stick to my values. I had a college choir director, Dr. Cook, who was really good. Everybody was a part of the program. If you were the custodian that swept the floor, if you were the people that helped keep the lights on, if you were the administration, if you were one of the singers, of course, you were part of our success. And he really worked to acknowledge that and brought everyone in. And then lastly, I had a really good professor when I took ethnomusicology at
We're going to look that up, make sure that's a real
yeah.
word.
They mention it.
Ethnomusicology.
They mention it in Inside Out 2, the Pixar movie. So,
Okay.
and that it was just a class about how music is learned all over the world. And I realized that the way I was teaching music was not meeting the potential of just making music and having fun together, and how much that could unlock things. And it's been, ever since that class, I've seen a real shift in the effectiveness of my teaching.
Incredible. So before we get into any more questions, tell us about the explosion of students participating in music programs since you've taken over this program.
Yeah, I think we tried to be positive first. And one of the my biggest inspirations, I love the Cleveland Guardians / Indians, and Tito Francona as a manager is one of my favorite people. I would watch his press conferences, and he would always talk about if you make the right decisions now, if you do the right things now, the right things will happen as a result. And that's been true. That's what I really try to stick to my mantra. I try to be positive. The moment I was hired, I called Matt Hadsell, who's our band director, who also was hired that same year. We instantly struck up a friendship. It's been great ever since, and we've led with positivity. We're trying to make the right choices, respond to things the right way, let administrators know when things are not helping the music program or what things are. And the administration has been super cooperative with all that, and these facilities. It just all combined to make it a program that everyone wants to be a part of, especially the kids, but volunteers, community members, parents, people are excited to come to our concerts and find out how they can help make more happen. So it's been great.
Awesome. Again, I'm not going to be able to get the awesomes out of my head now. I'm just going to ignore it from this point forward. So there's a stat that jumps out at me, and I want you to address this, or if it's the incorrect stat, tell me. But I've seen a stat that something in the neighborhood of, since before we moved into this building, because you were in the district the year before we actually moved into this building. So from that time to now, we've seen somewhere in the neighborhood of a 410% increase in kids taking music.
Yeah, if you think about it, in our old building, we had one choir grade 7 to 12 that I think at the time numbered 35. So that's all grade. That's the only choir we had in district. 35 kids in a choir ensemble. And in band, you probably had somewhere closer to 50 because we had 15 at the high school, and I would probably venture to say 40 and lower. So we were serving, and some of those kids were the same. So let's just say, and we can look at the numbers closer to verify, but let's just say we were serving 60 kids in our ensembles at that time.
Sure.
Music ensembles at Berkshire now include all of 5th and 6th grade, so 200 students roughly, right? About more than 50% of our 7th and 8th grade, so over 100 there. 25% of the high school population. Between our two band and choir, we have 120 something different kids. That's including the ones who do both. We don't count them as two. So we have grown, exponentially.
Incredible.
In those years.
We made some structural changes to allow that to happen. And one of the big things that allowed that to happen was the relationship that you and Mr. Hadsell have, and the fact that you're willing to share kids, and now you have a room that will facilitate sharing kids between the two of you.
It's huge.
Talk a little bit about how you use the new space you have and the facilities.
Yeah, well, first of all, the facilities are state of the art, and one of the best things about them is they protect our health. They're safe for our ears. They're treated to be good for the loud sounds that are made in there. We have practice rooms that we utilize throughout the whole day. We have students practicing. I was joking with Mr. Hadsell yesterday. We had kids trying to skip lunch because they said, well, when else are we going to practice for jazz band? It's like they have a jazz band class. Go eat. But that shows you the kind of motivation we have. And this auditorium, for smaller concerts, the acoustics, when that wall is in, are perfect. For larger concerts, being able to add 400 more seats is massive. It fits all our needs. Acoustically, it's a great space. And it's for a community this size, it's the perfect size auditorium, because if you get too big, sound gets hard. So it's
Sure.
There's been a lot that we can utilize from these facilities to make everything work.
Yeah. Tell us what your vision for the choir program is and how you want students to grow through their experiences here.
Yeah. I actually just looked at a chart that I made like 4 years ago when I was teaching elementary at Ledgemont for a year about my 5-year vision. And it's funny because all of those things were checked off as of last year. So it didn't even take 3 years. Moving forward, I just want to make sure we're sticking to our values here, keeping it positive, keeping it student-centered. I don't care what other high schools are doing with their choir programs. I don't need to have the elite group that gets the top scores at a contest. I want us to be serving our community and our students' needs, which are different than other communities and other students' needs. So that's my vision, and to let that organically help grow the program continued or eventually maintain the program that we have.
What would you say it is that sets our choir apart from others?
Yeah, I think we're very student-centered. I sit with every single student in my choir program in the practice room once a quarter. It takes some time, which is why a lot of people, might venture away from this, but we listen to them as individuals. I don't talk about the group blending. I don't talk about one voice. Instead, I want them all to be their own voice. I try to empower them to be individuals so that, choral singing is its own style, but some of our kids are interested in pop singing. They're interested in musical theater. I'm trying to help them grow as musicians, and I'm just using choir as a conduit for that. At the end of the day, I've never had complaints when I have taken groups to competitions or have them perform in front of other choral professionals. I've never heard that their blend is bad. I've never heard that those are problems. I think when we organically just serve the students, the product makes itself work.
Yeah, it's fun and they want to be there.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat of a singer myself.
Yes.
I do have those snow day songs. Maybe
Yes.
maybe a future version of the StodCast can go through the creation of a snow day song, and I don't know, maybe the performance of one.
Yes.
We'll
involve
add
Bert
video
Capella.
performance instead of just audio.
Yeah, that's
Although
awesome.
I have been told I have a face for radio, so there's that. So how do you see participation in choir shaping students as not only performers, but also as people?
I think we have a really good opportunity in the choral classroom to focus on character, group work ethic, how creating art can be fun and fulfilling, and somehow how working towards something over long term can pay off, because it gets pretty tough in there sometimes. When we're working on one page of music for the whole 43-minute class, it can wear the kids down and they start wondering, man, what are we doing this for? And then when we get to perform it, or then when it sounds right, it all pays off. And I hope they carry that into whatever they do, that hard work is worth it, collaboration is important, and can result in some really beautiful, amazing things.
Awesome. So what skills or values do you hope that our choir kids carry with them when they leave here and beyond, going beyond high school?
Yeah, just that collaborative community work towards something beautiful. And it doesn't matter what your opinions are about things. We can work together to make something beautiful with people we disagree with. And I really try to drive that home here, because a lot of people disagree on a lot of things, and we need to not let it spoil the product, the beauty that we can help each other make. And it works. It uplifts the whole community. So
Incredible. I purposefully did not say awesome that time. So if you had a magic wand and had unlimited resources, what kinds of opportunities or experiences would you want to add? Think of festivals, travel, guest clinicians. What would you want to add to the program with a magic wand?
yeah, I think the biggest thing would be travel. If I had unlimited time and resources and didn't have a family at home to raise, right, I think travel would be the coolest part. It was a big part of my upbringing as a musician. I went to Spain, France, Italy, traveled to San Francisco, Boston, Disney World, all in high school, right? Doing that was amazing. And that's something I really would love to bring these kids. Now, thankfully, they do get some global travel opportunities at this school. But yeah, if I had infinite resources and time, that would be something I figure out how to do. We are implementing more travel in our classes, field trips, including hopefully next January 2027 is the goal for Disney World trip. So for the high school. So.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about some specific traditions that you knew of here that you wanted to continue, and then some others that you thought we needed to create to build for the future.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, walking in with the choir, there weren't a lot of traditions that seemed to hold together. They had a lot of turnover. But one thing we're doing now, we have the holiday cabaret that really empowers students as individuals, a lot of solo singing, small groups. I think that's huge. Hopefully moving forward, it continues. The students sing Carol of the Bells at the holiday time every year, which seems to be good for them. Every kid wants to sing Carol of the Bells every year. So
Middle school students interested in the StodCast walking behind us. So we knew we were going to get students out there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, eventually we'll grab some students to be a part of the StodCast. So what do you find to be the most rewarding part of, you can take this from either the perspective of a choir director or just a music teacher in general. What's the most rewarding part for you?
Well, back to what I thought in 7th grade is I do get to make music every day. The best part is getting those kids who are absolutely convinced on day one that this is a class that they're just doing to get it done with, and then watching them buy in by the end of the year is awesome. And that happens with almost, I don't want to speak, like I read kids' minds, but from what I can tell, it seems like just about every kid buys in by the end of the year. They love it, and so do I. So
Can you talk
that's
about
rewarding. Sorry.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Can you share a challenge that you faced along the way and how you've approached solving that challenge?
Yeah, I think choir director and as kind of helping lead the music program here, there's a lot of administrative type responsibilities that maybe a lot of people don't realize I do. But as far as trip planning goes, it's a lot of work. It takes a ton of my day, almost daily. I'm addressing at least one of the trips we take. Things like purchasing equipment, purchasing music, making sure I have the right music professionals, accompanists, getting them paid, interacting with our boosters to make sure that the fundraising's going okay. There's a lot of those things happening behind the scenes that are a lot more part of the job than I ever realized. And I've had to really work to get to the point where I am now, where I can manage those things responsibly and not just collapse when I get home. So, yeah.
Great. How do you see choir contributing to the overall culture of our school and our community?
Yeah, I think I've noticed a culture shift in this school, just as far as the positivity, and I'm not claiming responsibility for that, but there's a lot of that stigma sometimes, that mean girls attitude about social cliques at school. And a choir has always been a way to unify that, because not everybody can start on the football team. Not everybody can get the top grades all the time. Not everybody can build a fighting robot. But just about everybody can walk into my classroom and be a part of our choir on day one, right? We include everybody. We make sure they're all contributors, and it really helps. So like in my high school choir right now, I have about 5 freshman guys from the football team who are all amped up on Monday after their huge win over Cardinal, right?
Sure.
So, and they all had playing time. So we were all celebrating that, talking about that. There's not this sense of separation that can exist in schools if the program is not thriving. But the thriving music program should unify all those kids.
Good. What do you wish more people understood about what goes into preparing for a choir performance?
Yeah, I think maybe the top complaint I get, I don't get a ton of complaints, but the top complaint I get is usually around the music I pick. And I do want people to know, like, the music I pick is a curriculum. It's like a math book, right? So I do every now and then have to pick, the main course. It can't be chocolate cake all the time.
Sure.
So I do pick some chocolate cake. I pick some main course pieces of music. It's all designed towards making the kids better musicians. So that's probably the one challenge that, like, people come up with, like, why don't you just do this kind of music all the time? And I say, well, I would not be doing my job.
Yeah, sure. Where do you hope the choir program will be in the next 5 years?
Yeah, so 5 years from now, I just want us to continue sticking to our values. I want it to be like it is now, a place with positivity, a place where, like, you can't come into my choir room and try to tell me that what we're doing isn't important or what we're doing isn't good for the kids, because that'd be like walking outside and telling me the grass isn't green. We're doing really awesome things. It's apparent when you're in there. I want that to continue. I want the kids to be enjoying it and to be our best advocates, because they advocate for themselves when they're having a good time doing it.
Great. And now to wrap this up and close this up, could you leave us with like one cool story or moment that really sticks out to you? Or you could do a couple if you want to, from your time here and what we've built with this music program.
Yeah, I'll start with one that I talk about sometimes. And this kid just graduated. And she's an awesome kid. And my first year in this district, I taught, before the new building, I taught at Ledgemont Elementary for a year. But because Ledgemont started later, I was able to come in and help with the high school choir a few days a week with Mr. Hadsell, who was running it at the time. And I remember the first couple weeks, I asked the kids, okay, what do you guys think about choir here? Like, what's the vibe? And I had a kid raise their hand, and the first thing she said was, we suck. And that crushed me, because you should always take pride in your product.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, then the music being picked for you or the level of performance just isn't where it should be. And thankfully, Mr. Hadsell was a great choir director that year and was easy to inherit. But my goal when I saw that student say that, I said, by the time you graduate, your attitude's going to be changed about this. And sure enough, that kid was part of Berkshire. Excellent, very successful, wonderful singer, is still singing now. And out there, got a job right out of high school, is doing very well. So that was awesome to see. Another big, great thing about this job is that Mr. Hadsell and I hit it off, and we've been friends ever since. It makes my job so much better to share an office with a band director who has the same values as I have and is treating students well. I never have to worry about having a fundamental disagreement. We're both here to serve students. It makes my job a lot easier to have a friend in the office with me.
and your philosophies and attitude couldn't be more in alignment, but your personalities couldn't be probably more different,
Yeah,
right? So that probably
we're
also
different.
helps.
We bounce off each other for sure. So, sometimes he's wrong and I just have to deal with that.
You're the sweet to his sour.
That's right.
All right. Well, Mr. Eppler, thank you for joining us, and everyone who tuned into the StodCast. Hopefully you learned a lot about choir and you learned a lot about Mr. Eppler, and we appreciate your time with us.
Thank you. I'm going to have to let Hadsell know I did include a ribbing when I talked to him before he has a shot to talk to you.
Will do.
So
thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stoddard.
Welcome back to episode 3 of the StodCast, which is our activities edition. And we are now here with Mr. Matt Hadsell, who is the Berkshire band director. Welcome, Mr. Hadsell.
Thank you for having me. So excited to be here on the StodCast.
Awesome. So I did it again. We had an awesome counter last time, and I've been trying to control my number of awesomes, but I haven't been able to do it so
all right,
far.
we got an awesome okay,
So,
gotcha.
So as our band director, I want to start off with, could you just give us a brief kind of background of who is Mr. Hadsell? What experiences have brought you to this point, just for our listening audience?
Sure. So I grew up in Fairview Park, which is we're now in our conference, so we play them every night. Last year, we went to their team or their home field, and the two guys who were doing the announcements were actually I went to high school with them. So they just kept blowing my name up like crazy. It was a really fun night. So I grew up in Fairview Park, and then I got recruited by a man named Gary Adams, who's a professional tuba player and photographer. And he recruited me to Cleveland State. I decided to major in music education. I actually did my student teaching with Mr. Branch over in West G in 2017. And then bounced around a little bit and came here in the fall of 21 and haven't looked back since.
Awesome. Was there a teacher or a moment in your musical journey that you would say shaped how you do what you do today?
Well, not one direct one, but like one teacher that actually really stuck out to me. It wasn't a music teacher, but it was actually my biology teacher, Mr. Dave LeBrun. Looking back on it, like he just had this like amazing technique of teaching kids that like he encouraged kids to be responsible with themselves and also like care about the content. Like I can still tell you the categorizations for different organisms. Like right now, if he was to walk in the room and like point at me, I could like immediately like domain, kingdom, phylum, order. Like I don't know why it just stuck in my head. So he's just a really great teacher, and I just kind of copied some of his style a little bit.
Yeah. Teachers make a huge difference, even if they're not in the area that you're passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember an elementary teacher I had. His name was Phil Brown. He was inspirational to me.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, when I became a principal, he had retired and was a substitute, and he subbed in my building. So having your favorite teacher then be a sub in your building when you're principal, pretty good full circle moment.
Yeah. Mine retired, but that's awesome.
Yeah, I still remember one of my favorite teachers who really, her name was Judy Schmitz. She was a earth science teacher at Marymount High School, and kind of put me on the straight and narrow, like because I was trying to goof around and didn't really fit in. And she was like, "You belong here. You're just as smart as anyone else. You better start applying yourself."
That's a really cool moment.
That's what teachers can do for you.
That's one of my favorite moments is when a kid goes like, "Oh, I'm dumb," and I get to that go to that moment, be like, "No, you don't get to say that in my room. You're not allowed to say that about yourself." And that I hope that's helped somebody.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the explosion in participation in music here within the past couple of years.
Well, I think it has something to do with both the fact me and Mr. Eppler have kind of a bombastic teaching style where we can really grab the short attention spans. We did a really good job with that in the beginning. We really hit the ground running in our first year here. And it's just kind of grown from there. It's also been, it also comes from administration. So I want to thank you guys for being supportive. I mean, at my last district, I would say, "Hey, I need X, Y, and Z." And they would say like, "We can give you A." And I'd be like, "But you guys, like I say, I need X, Y, and Z." And we'll have the conversation about how do we get to getting to X, Y, and Z. If it's not possible this year, maybe it's next year. Or something like that. And it's been really, really rewarding to actually be listened to by my bosses for once.
Yeah, one of the more scary things was kind of redefining the structure of the music program as we moved here, because we didn't have we we had limited band for elementary
Mhm.
kids, and they had to really come after school to get it, which really limits the numbers. And so
Yes, it does. Yeah.
we had to really restructure, and it took some effort on your part and Mr. Eppler's part as well, because you're no longer a middle school teacher or an elementary school teacher or a high school
12,
teacher. Basically the two of you are grades 5 through 12, everything, which is a big commitment. And it works because you guys work well together. You know, we brought you in at the same time, and you're able to build this thing together. And then even this year, you've kind of had a hand in helping shape the schedule. Some people might not know this, maybe they do. Mr. Hadsell was an administrative intern. He did an internship with Mr. Franks because he's finishing his principal certification.
Yep. I am technically a licensed principal. So
incredible. I almost said awesome again. Then I said awesome, trying not to say awesome. So that led to 3 more awesomes.
all right. Astounding.
I will definitely expand my vocabulary.
Gotcha.
Tell us, what do you see as the long-term vision for our band program?
Well, right now we're actually kind of getting to enjoy some of the fruits of the original long-term vision. So when we first interviewed, you told me you wanted 100 kids in the music program.
I remember.
And the next year, I think I delivered on that.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at, right now, the high school band is rehearsing right now with 67 members. With the Badgerettes in my class, that's 77 kids. That's a major improvement from less than 20 from fall of 21. And so we're just kind of enjoying this now. So we're in this new phase where I really believe in democratic classrooms. So we're in this new phase right now where the kids are kind of and me are deciding the vision of what we want to be. And there's two different big goals that they want to hit. One is and the kids said this, they want to do more local things with the community.
Sure.
They want to do more local events. They want to be more present in the greater Geauga community. And the other thing is that we've got a group of really, really skilled, I don't say the word talented, I don't believe in that word, but we've got some really amazing kids who've built some really amazing skills over the years, and they want to go as far as music can offer them. So there's some kids talking about doing music as a career. There's other kids who just want to go and get ones at competitions. Some kids are talking about how they want to go to state. I would love to take the whole concert band to OMEA state contest. I think we have a shot at getting some decent scores there. There's a bit of a logistics thing with that, where it's I have to get all 67 kids to be able to go to the same place at the same time. That's a bit of a nightmare. But if everyone's on board with it, I'm on board with it. So
Okay. So when you think about our graduates, and let's say we have a graduate who went through and participated in the band program, how would you hope that student would describe their experience through that program?
Memorable is how I would say. I would really want their experience to really tailor towards them and their needs. Is kind of me sidestepping the question a little bit, but I want them to just I don't have state standards. Well, I do have state standards, but I don't have state testing that I have to hit every year. I don't have to make sure I check off the specific boxes that the state wants. So my personal goal is that when a kid graduates from Berkshire, they have the ability to take their musical abilities and put it in a context that works for their life as an adult. So whether that means joining the Great Geauga Fair Band, or making a garage band with your buddies, or doing music as a career, or doing music as a side thing in college and then finding your place there, or a church choir, or whatever. So long as you have a way to express yourself and that way is musical, I feel like I've accomplished my goal.
Incredible. Mr. Eppler mentioned as one of his memorable moments instilling this tradition of the holiday cabaret. And one of my favorite parts of the holiday cabaret are the commercials that between you and Mr. Sherman and Mr. Eppler we do. Talk to us about how that evolved, how that came about, and how you guys prepare for that.
Well, the first year we didn't have Mr. Sherman, and so it was me trying to play up the kid, play up a kid next to me who's trying to play the actor. And then the next year we got him there, and it's just been he's got an amazing acting ability. and he just goes a mile a minute. So I'm lucky that I just have to play the straight man in the situation. So I just have to react to him. And so long as I'm reacting appropriately, I'm keeping up with it. But man, he just goes a mile a minute. And then Sean's already got them, or Mr. Eppler's already got them like prepared. So it's just as fun for me as it is for everybody else. I get to watch and kind of go along with the ride, and you guys get to go through my emotional state of watching Mr. Sherman put on 6 or 7 wigs.
It's very fun to watch the over the top
Yeah.
and then the kind of straight laced
Yeah.
right next to each other. And then the jingles that Mr. Eppler does, of course, after my own heart for my, I love to do those.
I was a
parody
fan.
songs.
I'm still a fan of Absolute Septic. It was the best one.
Yeah.
Don't make me explain. It's all in an A. It's Absolute Septic.
Right. So how do you measure success in the band program beyond just competition scores or ratings?
Okay. So the first thing that the community looks at is numbers. And I look at the two, but at this point, the numbers game was just a matter of getting to a place where we're able to expand and try new things and be present not only as an institution in the community, but also get to like change artistically to try different things with the kids so that they can broaden their horizons. So I would define success in the program based off the enthusiasm I get from my students. One thing I want to point out is that I've got this really great group of kids who, and a lot of them are in the jazz band, some of them are just concert band, but they came up with these really great ideas. So for those of you who don't know, the fourth quarter, all students grades 7 through 12 pick the music that they're going to play at the fourth quarter, and that's called the Pops concert. 7th graders tend to pick the same kind of Mimi songs. I've played Never Gonna Give You Up about 4 or 5 times. And that's fine every year. I'm just like, okay, fine, we're doing that one. But if you let them like play around with that, by the time they get to high school, they have matured, and these kids have picked certain pieces of music that were not pop songs. They just really liked these pieces of music, and some of them are in the curriculum this year for middle school and for high school and for jazz band because they were just such great picks. The kids will go on, I buy my music from jwpepper.com, and the kids will go on there. They know that that's where I get the music, and they'll go deep into that website and find some really interesting ideas. And we don't use everything, it does get filtered through me, but they are just so enthusiastic. And I would say that is a mark of like really, like they just really care. And that warms my heart.
Well, when you give them that ownership,
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
theirs. They had a hand in helping create it.
Yeah, I like to tell the kids, it's not my band, it's your band.
Yeah.
How do you want to do this? And they take that responsibility seriously.
Awesome. In what ways do you hope being in band shapes the students as people and not just as musicians?
Well, that's a really great question. I love that because I see band as and I say this in marching band a lot, I say that this is the most collaborative thing you have an option of doing. Because when a performance, like I was just talking to the guidance office about this, when one student is unavailable for a performance, that student might have one of the most important parts, like they might be a drummer in the jazz band, or they might be a soloist or something like that. And those collaborative efforts are what makes that solo amazing, or the drums are what supports the rest of the band. So as people, I want them to understand what their actions and their efforts do that affect everybody else. And I think band has a really like direct way of noticing that. Like if the drummer stops playing his part,
Everybody knows.
everybody knows.
Yeah.
If the soloist can't finish because there's no support, they're all by themselves and no one's paying attention, like stuff can get messed up. And the kids understand that now at this age, especially in the high school, and they really take it seriously. They have that ownership. They want to do good for their peers. They want to do good by themselves as well.
If you had a magic wand and unlimited resources, what things would you add to the program?
This is a scary question to ask me, Mr. Stoddard. So the first thought that I have is the band is at 67 members this year.
Mm-hmm.
If we go even higher, if we go crazier to like 80 or 90, at that point, my crazy idea would be to split into 2 bands, to have like a beginning group and to have an audition group. And I think that would be really, really beneficial for everybody. The only thing, like, because my brain, like, I wanted to be an administrator because I like thinking in logistics. The only thing with that is that it would all have, like, all the band classes, all the high school band classes, a concert band at least, would have to happen at the same time. And that there's the problem, because you got marching band in the first quarter. You need all the marching band kids in the same spot. It's one of those.
Yeah, and from helping with the master schedule that
yes, I know how
it's not quite that easy of a task.
it is quite an ask to put up there. But yeah, if the world was all aligned, yes, I think that Berkshire might be ready for a second band in a few years.
Yeah, and that's come quite a long way from the days when I said, Mr. Hadsell, we need at least 100 kids.
Yes.
Now our music program is, I think, multiple hundreds of kids.
Yeah, I think Mr. Eppler posted 250 or something on our Facebook page.
Yeah, and if you count classes throughout the day, we're in the thousands. So that is just unbelievable that we've gotten to where we've gotten. And it's a compliment to the two of you and the way you work together and make it fun for kids, and then kids want to participate.
Sometimes Sean's a little gooby, but we take care of that.
Yeah, you got to have that sometimes, right? He's the middle school to your the middle school little brother. So what are some traditions or practices that you think are essential to preserve? And then what are some things that you'd like to see evolve and do differently?
Well, when it comes to traditions, I remind myself that when I'm coming into a community, that I'm the outsider coming in. So, like, for example, the kids have a few traditions that are older than me. There's a couple cadences here and there. There's the band dance every year. Most of them revolve around marching band. But those ones you want to hold on to. There's not a whole lot that predates me. Because like I said, when we got here, there was COVID had gone down, and there was only less than 20 kids in the band. Not a lot of them had a long memory of what band traditions had existed before that. So we're in a really great spot where we can make this whatever the school needs it to be and whatever the students need it to be. For me, I see that as going for more excellence, going for a little bit more of the technical side of things, getting things down a little bit better. We're at a level where I can give a little bit of criticism and it's not going to ruin the kids' day for the whole day. They're stronger than that now. And I think we're in a spot where we can really put our names out there to the greater musical community as well as Geauga County.
What do you wish more parents or administrators or community members understood about the band program?
There are so many hours in the day, and I want to provide as much as I possibly can, but I have the same 24 hours, and Sean and I have the same 24 hours as everybody else. So it really, I keep, for example, fifth grade band people, the students and the kids, they're very new and they want to know everything all at once. And we really try to get that information out to them in the spring. But when that doesn't happen, everyone's got their own special story too. And it's really, really hard to find the time in the day to give everybody the specific amount of time that they need. I promise you, I'm trying. If you're somebody who feels like I've gone too fast over you or something like that, I promise you, I'm really trying my best to give everybody as much quality time with me and my content as much as I can. Again, I've got 24 hours in the day.
What's the most rewarding part for you personally about leading this program?
For me, it's that click moment. It's that moment where the kids realize amongst themselves, oh, we sound good. We played that really well. Or in the words of the kids, oh, we ate.
How we ate.
It's a really great moment, because it's when it happens more and more and more, that starts to build in the kids' confidence, and then you can rely on them for more, and they know you can rely on them, and they just build themselves up too. It's just this beautiful thing. It's just this beautiful this beautiful loop. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
So culturally now, Mr. Hadsell has 8, and Mr. Eppler said something was sick.
Yes.
So we are fully ingrained in the current vernacular of
Right.
our students.
Is no cap still a thing?
Maybe.
Okay.
We're gonna yeet.
Yeet?
You know?
Yeah. Okay.
We're gonna get down a rabbit hole here if we continue this way. So, how do you see the band's role, or what do you see as the band's role in representing the school in our community?
I think I'm going to define it as, I'm just going to call it the quality. Like when the band goes out and performs to the community, we're not only representing the band, we're representing the school. We're letting the community know, like, hey, we are a presence in your children's lives. We are a presence in your community, and we really care. Like, it's hard. Again, I only have 24 hours in the day, same as Mr. Eppler. So we don't see, like, I don't see every parent that I wish I could see. I don't work with every single person that I wish I could work with in a day. And I just want you all to know, like, we are thinking about you. We are trying to do the best for your children and do the best for your community. And when we put on a really great performance, that's what we're trying to say.
All right. Where do you see the band in 5 years from now?
2 bands, 2 jazz bands. No, I'm kidding. We actually have 2
rock and roll band.
Yeah, you know, we can do that. Honestly, there's enough people who have come up and asked me, "Can we? Do you teach guitar?" And the answer to that is no, not really. But I can help. So if rock and roll band is something that we want to do, and we can find space in the schedule, I am all down to teach rock and roll band.
If you could leave one lasting message through this program, what would it be?
There's no such thing as talent. People like to believe in that. I see that word as almost like a myth word, where some people are just absolutely born amazing at music. I got to tell you, I was not that kid. I didn't learn how to read note names until I was a sophomore or a junior in high school. I was not bad at music, but I wasn't good either. And when I got to college, I was good enough to get into college, and then I had I had a lot of room to grow. And that, I think, was the really best way for me to grow as a teacher too, because I learned that, like, all of these little skills that I have now that I get to work with the kids on, that to the kids they might see as effortless, they're not effortless. They're the result of 3, 4, 5 years of working on the same little skill over and over and over again until it's just in the back of my head if I can pull it out. Like, if you need me to sing a song, like, I was not a singer. I walked into my musicianship class and they were like, "You're going to sing," and I had never sang a word in my life. So I have a lot of people to thank who have helped me along the way, but there's no such thing as talent. You have to build everything you have. Reminds
me of a coach who our listeners may not appreciate the team he coaches for, but Coach Mike Tomlin says it's not what you're capable of, it's what you're willing to do.
Right.
So are you willing to put in the work?
And I like, sometimes kids get in that competition mindset of like, oh, well, I play trumpet better than that person or something like that. And my response to that is don't think about it like that. You have to be better than one person, and that was yourself yesterday.
Yep. So if to wrap this up, and I've asked this I asked the same thing of Mr. Eppler. Can you talk to us about, like, one, or if one's too much, you can do a couple different either memories or things that happened or moments in time from the time when you really started this program up to now that really stick with you or that you want people to know about?
Well, I can't shake that Thriller dance to save my life. There's been a couple times where we brought back the Thriller dance, and it's always a really great moment. A really specific moment. Yeah, I got it. It was I want to say it was the first or second year at a concert, and the community has not had a lot of classical music exposure, just in general. And what you do before you play is you do a tuning note. Where everybody plays the same note and they try to lock in the same kind of frequency, so we're all making the best possible sound we can. And they didn't know that this was not like part of the song. So I put my hands up and I go to conduct the tuning note, and they go, "Ah," and I cut it off, and I hear some guy in the back go, "Wow." I was like, "Oh, if you love that, Wait till
you see what's next.
Wait till this. That made me feel really great. That gassed me up for the whole concert. That was just that one guy going, wow.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us, Mr. Hadsell. It was great to have you here on the StodCast. We hope you had as good a time as we did.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to episode 3 of the StodCast, where we had our activities with our athletics and our choir and our band. Special thank you to Mr. Hiscox, our athletic director, Mr. Eppler, our choir director, and Mr. Hadsell, our band director. If you tune in next time, episode 4, we'll be talking about the state of the schools. If you want to see the State of the Schools presentation live, come live to the next board meeting Monday, October 13th, 6 p.m. in the auditorium. And then we're going to do a kind of a recap of that on the next StodCast. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Go Badgers.